Alrighty, hello everybody. Um, so I've been getting pretty into StarCraft, Brood War FFAs, so I figured I would cast them. Um, so this is an 8-player FFA, pretty big map. We'll speed through the start here, but yeah, we got some strong players in this game. So we have Buns of Thunder. He is an FFA regular, strong player. E40, also a strong FFA player. Tesla, also a strong FFA player. I've seen this Nam Saiyan SC guy around a bit too. Uh, and then we have Explosion, also seen him around. I have not seen these two around, but we'll see how they do. And then Metal Knight is the user ID that I was going by at the time. So here you see me taking out this yellow Protoss here. In FFA, especially if you're ZERG, it's usually best to take out your closest neighbor early so you can have all of their bases. So you can see we're locked in a little bit of a struggle here. 3 base ZERG versus 2 base Protoss. Elsewhere on the map we see just some minor harassment. Brown's growing nicely. E40 is expanding to random spots on the map, but is still at 1 base. Trying to pressure Buns a little bit. So it looks like the yellow toss is kind of attacking. Cleaned up. Yeah, so E40, this is an interesting strat. Sometimes if you can get bases up in random spots, such as the middle, you can mine them for quite a bit before somebody discovers them, which can be a really good strat. So here it looks like I've broken through yellow's defenses for the most part, and it does not look good for him. So he GG's out, and now this entire quarter of the map is mine for the taking. You see Explosion here, the pink Protoss in the center. He's growing very nicely. Meanwhile, Buns is pushing on E40, taking out his main base. Looks like E40 kind of got squished between the brown and teal Protoss. Looks like blue and the pink toss are doing a little bit of fighting here. We'll start to slow it down since the map's starting to fill with action. So yeah, I mean, if you look at these patches, E40's already mined 300, 400 from each of these patches. So yeah, I mean, the strategy can be a good one. Of course, it does leave you spread out on the map, so in this case he lost his main base. But I guess, I didn't really notice E40 at this moment, so he was able to mine quite a bit. Looks like the orange ZERG got taken out pretty early by light blue ZERG.
Nuclear launch
And
detected.
now let's check the banks. Looks like brown is amassing the largest bank. Amassing bank and sending nukes on the map. Classic Terran FFA strategy. Pretty good strategy too. So it looks like Buns is really moving out. He took out E40, so he's trying to claim this part of the map. Meanwhile, Explosion is responding to that cheeky nuke from Tesla. Minor little engagement here. Looks like Buns starting to lay into the pink Protoss. Buns is coming for everybody this game. Taking out that base. It looks like, yeah, Explosion has to fall back from his push on Tesla. Buns maybe being a little bit too aggressive here. Would have liked to see Pink and Brown fight a bit from Buns' perspective. Yeah, so Explosion now directing his attention to Buns, who is continuing his attack. And looks like, you know, I've finally managed to discover E40's mining. But, you know, good. Almost half the minerals on these bases are gone. Would have been nice to discover this sooner. So Explosion's counterattack continues. But Buns is finally able to clean it up. And looks like E40 is running away once again. It looks like the light blue ZERG, pardon the color confusion here. Looks like the light blue ZERG is attacking blue ZERG, aka me. So some ZVZ action here. So Buns really claiming all of E40's old bases. Really playing an aggressive Terran playstyle, which I totally respect. So it looks like Buns once again attacking Explosion. He's really taking it to Explosion this game. And he might just, he's gonna go right for the jugular. He's going for Explosion's main base, where all his production is. Looks like Explosion coming from the back. And it does look like he'll clean it up. So good defense. Looks like a little counterattack on Buns' position. Is Bun ready for it? He has tanks and spider mines, so I think he'll be okay here. So Explosion and Buns have been really going at it. And they're still going at it. And if you look at the banks here, Tesla really starting to pull ahead. He's, you know, he's doing good. He's not really fighting people hard. He's kind of letting Explosion have this base. And it looks like Explosion trying to set up some photon cannons. They did manage to get up. And looks like the light blue ZERG coming in, massive attack on Explosion's main base. He was locked in combat with Buns, totally unprepared for this. And it's looking like he's gonna lose all of his production. Just really unfortunate timing. Explosion's army still fighting Buns up here, but he is losing all of his production. Now, looks like I'm fighting light blue ZERG down in the bottom right. It's a massive ZERG air battle. And who do we have here hiding in the corner? Looks like E40 still alive. And looks like Light Blue ZERG totally wiped out Explosion's main base and is now making his way down to hit the Blue ZERG. And it looks like I'm returning the favor and hitting Light Blue's main. So kind of in the south we have a big ZVZ war, while up north we really have Buns versus Explosion, who's trying to get his production back up here, and we have Tesla, who's kind of poking away at the others. So it looks like Light Blue's base is pretty done here. And his armies are wreaking havoc on Blue ZERG's lands. But Ultras don't shoot up, so these Guardians will be able to clean them up. Yeah, Light Blues are kind of just sending out waves of Lings and Ultras onto the map. So it looks like Explosion trying to rebuild his production here in the middle. Only thing I don't like about this is it's on the low ground, surrounded by bluffs everywhere. So I don't like this position, but he kind of doesn't really have a choice anymore. So Buns taking out an E40, a random E40 base, and setting up on one of these bluffs and just raining down fire on another Explosion base. Things don't really look good for our pink Protoss here. He's got an okay bank, but he's kind of caught. He's in the middle. He's stuck between people. So Buns, you know, he's been fighting so hard. He doesn't really have a big bank relative to some of the other players in the game. But he is pushing, and he's getting access to new bases as a result. So this kind of dynamic offensive style, it's a very strong style. But you do need to, you know, take a look at the map sometimes and ask yourself if I really need to fight right now. That's kind of the mindset you should have in FFA. Personally, I tend to not fight enough. So it's always a balance, right? A balance between being campy and going out on the map. So I mean, this is probably every Protoss's nightmare. Caught between two sieged up mech armies with his production smack dab in the middle. I mean, really, Buns and Tesla are squeezing the life out of Explosion. So Explosion says, screw it, I'm not fighting that, and he just goes around, and he's going right for Buns' bases, while he loses his production yet again. So it looks like Explosion, you know, he's just trying to do something, but Buns' forces quickly realized the situation, gun down all these zealots, and I imagine the Dragoons will follow. Poor Explosion. He's caught between two mech armies. So, you know, Buns and Tesla both on Terran, but kind of exemplifying the two opposite place strategies. You know, Tesla's really sitting back. Some might call this camping. He's throwing out nukes. He's still pushing when he feels that he has to. And as a result, he has a massive bank, the largest by far, of 35k. Meanwhile, Buns, you know, he's been fighting people all game. He has a lot of bases, but his bank's relatively small due to all his combat losses. Only a 4K bank, really. Looks like Bun's and Tesla's armies will finally meet in the middle, on top of Explosion's remains. And they're drawing up their lines. Bun's is saying, no, this base is mine. While Tesla should really get more tanks here and claim this base for himself. Now Explosion, there's not really much left for him. He has no production. He's got 7 workers. Doesn't have much army. Does have an arbiter, which he's randomly sending to ZERG space. So it looks like Blue ZERG is just finding the remains of Light Blue ZERG. They're still locked in this weird ZVC battle. Meanwhile, the Terrans have drawn up their lines here. So we've got kind of a TVT in the north now and a ZVZ in the south. Although Light Blue ZERG is mostly dead at this point. Bun's just cleaning up Explosion. And Explosion does a random recall here of 5 Zealots. Very odd move. But I guess he didn't have much left. Now Tesla moving up here, taking these bluffs. Really good move. Buns now has to worry about 2 fronts in this. He has to worry about this, and now he has to worry about this position. And Buns can't mine this now because Tesla's tanks are on the bluff on top of it. So this little valley here where Explosion died, I guess it's what you could call the kill box, really. I mean, there's so much high ground around it that if your enemy gets a position like this, there's really not much you can do. Except for go for an air army at that point. So it looks like Bun's just content to hold this ground for now. And he's kind of turning his attention to the south. While Tesla's begun to mine this base. And looks like Tesla is fortifying his position on this bluff. Yeah, so you'll see Zergs send out waves of overlords. This will really help out with vision. So it looks like, you know, Blue Zerg, pretty uncontested on the map. Expanding everywhere, really. Starting to build up a good sized bank as well. Mostly because there was really... The yellow Protoss died early, and Light Blue Zerg didn't really put up much of a fight. So here we have Buns going on a little expedition down here. Kind of ignoring this. Tesla is inching closer and closer, pushing Buns' line back. But Buns doesn't seem to care. Kind of just pushing down south. Light Blue Zerg taps out. GG. And looks like we have a big ambush. Mutalisks just jumping this Terran army. A lot of Irradiates do go down, but just an overwhelming number of Mutalisks. And the Terran army is forced to retreat.
Nuclear launch detected.
Ah, so this is what you can do. Tesla really playing good here, or playing well. Ran into a few mines there, but I mean, you can just see what he's doing. I mean, this is classic TVT play. He started with a strong position on the high ground, and then knowing that Buns can't really touch that, he's now nuking his way down. And he's made it all the way up here. Although these Buns is still holding on. But really, Tesla's been able to claim this base for the most part now. And he's mining this one out too. So this TVT up here really, you know, Tesla is beating back Buns really. But Buns doesn't really seem to be focused on Tesla. Ah, so maybe, you know, he's discovering new bases in the south here. He's realizing, he might be realizing that he doesn't have to fight Tesla over this. There's money to be made, lots of money to be made in the south. So it looks like Buns is kind of changing his direction to a southward expansion. And it looks like the blue ZERG has the same idea. Both realizing that the bottom right quadrant has the most untouched bases. So it looks like E40 has still managed to hang on here in the bottom right. And looks like the blue ZERG and Buns getting into a fight again. Buns is able to beat him back. And looks like Buns is laying siege to this E40 base. So now we have Ultralisks. I think I made Ultras, seeing that this army was mostly Goliaths. Looks like the Ultralisks are able to clean this army up with the help of some E40 plagues. But now, I'm not doing this out of the goodness of my heart. I'm not trying to defend E40 here, so... I'm doing this so that I can keep these minerals for myself. And so I do try to clean E40 up here as well. Meanwhile, Explosion coming back, hitting his old enemy Tesla. Looks like he was able to rebuild a little bit, but it's mostly Archons. Not really the best against Terran. So it looks like he's taken out some Tesla stuff here, but really, you know, these Archons aren't really going to get much done. So looks like Bun's just picking off all these Guardians. Now it looks like Blue ZERG sending a death wave of Guardians up north. Killing what remains of Explosion. Poor Explosion. He had a tough game. He really did fight it out though, so mad respect for that. Looks like Explosion just really focused. He wants revenge on the Brown Terran. But yeah, I mean, these vessels can just EMP these Archons and they're really done at that point. So looks like I'm just sending attack waves at Brown at this point. He's taken a lot of damage, but he should be able to hold on with these battle cruisers here. Looks like kind of attacking this battleground here as well. And Buns is expanding south. He's making a lot of money down south. There's a lot of money to be made here. Constantly moving towards the south. And looks like these battle cruisers are cleaning up. But yeah, that attack really did a lot of damage. But Brown has managed to hold on. He's now catching the stragglers. Now, looks like Buns is kind of just feeling this bottom right area out. Looks like Brown's trying to expand and make money where he can. He's trying to reclaim this. Looks like Tesla and Buns still fighting. Some battle cruisers. Looks like I'm starting to fight brown too. This is an odd army. Vultures and Goliaths. Not many tanks. Looks like Buns is kind of hunting E40 down at this point. Which is pretty funny. E40 really trying hard to stay in this game. But you can see that I've really expanded out onto the map. I think I've mined a little over a quarter of the map now. Getting close to a third of the map. But Bun's not far behind, you know. He's got a good portion of the map here. Probably I'd say a fourth of the map. Ah, so it looks like I've come to exterminate E40 here. But Bun's getting some good irradiates off. Killing a lot of Mutalisks here. And the Goliaths kind of clean up the rest, and I retreat. Looks like Bun's kind of maintaining presence down here. He doesn't want these bases to fall into enemy hands. I mean, there's this base, there's this base, there's this base, there's this base. You know, whoever was down here died early. So all these minerals, you can see the rest of the map is mostly mined out. It's really this bottom right quadrant that has the remaining minerals. Which, you know, looks like I'm mining a good amount of them, but there's still a lot of bases open here, and I think Buns is gunning for them. So at this point, our banks are all 30k, 40k. The map's kind of wow. E40 mining this one patch, and he finally leaves the game. Buns hunted him down. Looks like I didn't like E40 at the time. So looks like Tesla, you know, still fighting Buns here. But Buns doesn't really care about this area anymore. He's kind of like, yeah, you know, just have it. Buns cares about the south. Ah, but Buns leaves the game. You really don't like to see that in FFAs, especially when you're one of the big players. But at this point, I guess I saw that it was just a 1v1, and so there's really nothing to wait for when it's a 1v1. So I just run at Tesla. Massive battle here. But looks like the Blue Zerg was able to win. Battle cruisers are strong, but they are slow. So they're taking a long time. Looks like the Blues are doing a little offensive GG. Looks like these battle cruisers are going deep into Zerg space. And with Defilers, I guess Defilers are about to show you why capital ships aren't the best against Zerg. The Plague didn't actually do that much to them. It was just an overwhelming number of Mutalisks. So more fighting here. We're really going at it now. There's no reason to hold back. But while our banks might be similar, Blue Zerg has almost half the map now. He has so much more to mine from. Conducting psychological warfare. Conducting psychological warfare on each other, lying about our banks. But at this point, it looks like the Blue ZERG has discovered Brown's main base and is just sending attack waves at it now. So I think Brown's time is limited here. He's been through a lot this game. But it looks like his main base is about to fall. You can just see streams of ZERG units running at the main base. He has a lot of tanks and battlecruisers trying to mount a defense, but it does not seem like it's going to be enough here. ZERG units just pouring in. If you guys ever watched the StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm cinematic, where the ZERG are landing on Core Hall, that's kind of what this scene feels like right now. It's like more ZERG units just streaming up. These battlecruisers technically can clean all this up, but it takes too long for them. By the time they kill all these units, the base is gonna be gone. Battlecruisers are strong though, my goodness. Took out that number of Hydras. But it looks like, you know, Brown's kind of really devastated at this point. He's lost all his production. It's really these 5 battlecruisers are what he has. He doesn't really have the ability to fight back any longer. He does hold on, but it's a matter of time at this point. So I guess the thing to learn from Brown's situation here, you can have a monster bank, but if you don't have the infrastructure and production to use it, what's the point? So Brown is trying to rebuild, but really he should have had like 10 starports, 12 factories spread out across the map, maybe even in this area or some other safe location. Point is, he should have had a secondary production center or even a third one, because his main's dead now, and he's scrambling trying to get production up again. But when you're fighting ZERG, you know, yeah, it's too late. Just overwhelming numbers. Looks like he does have a cloaked wraith in here. A cheeky wraith. Actually, a few cloaked wraiths. They are getting a lot of kills here. Blue ZERG, no overlords. Finally an overlord comes. And really, this is just about hunting down Brown now. He's trying to rat the map. And yeah, he's scrambling to rebuild production, but already on top of him. Again, this is the price of not having production ready. So GG. Yeah, guys, I haven't casted games in a while, but I've really been enjoying Brood War FFA lately. So, I watch replays on my own sometimes, so I figured it'd be nice to have some more FFA content on YouTube available for people to watch, because I know some people like to watch. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.